Hey, what's happening? It's another season of Mirror Work Begins, Conversations with Lady O, Mirror Work Conversations. So we're going to get into it. So I'm sure you guys are more than aware of our unelected Prime Minister, coronated Mark Carney. Sorry. That was a slip of a tongue. That's not what I meant to say. I might just edit this one out. I don't know. Mark Carney. My God. I'm so sorry. Okay. So I'm sure you've been aware of our unelected, coronated Mark Carney, who's tripsing around Europe. That's funny. And then he's now in the north, making all these announcements and all these conversations, and I'm like, dude, I'm trying to figure out why the Conservative Party has not called out the fact that what he's doing, and if you notice, and again, oh my God, so many things to say. Okay. The Canadian reporters themselves are guilty of not knowing the country that they're reporting on. I'm a a layman, if you want to say that. I'm just a regular old citizen, and I am hearing about this Caretaker Act or this Caretaker Convention that Mark Carney is currently in. He's not a prime minister because he's not been elected as the prime minister. He's a caretaker of the position until a real elected leader has been duly appointed. Now, this Caretaker Act or Caretaker Convention is usually what is put in play when Parliament has been dissolved or suspended because of an election. But it's been dissolved because Justin Trudeau has dissolved it for his party to determine a leader, which again, I'm just shocked that, like, to me, this is what come back. This is what I'm talking about in the difference between the Americans and Canadians. As much as you want to talk about Donald Trump or what can Americans, there's things that you can't do, and they take it lying down. I know they talk about they deemed it as an insurrection, but that was the citizens saying, listen, over our body, are we just gonna lie down and take this without a fight? Am I condoning violence? No. What I am stating is the obvious that American citizens, patriots, don't take things lying down. Now we had our own version of it here with the trucker convoy. There was no insurrection, although the Liberal government wanted to take a page out of their American cousins' narrative and make it sound like that, like people are coming to take over. No, they were peacefully protesting outside. It was inconvenient, and that's what protest is, because look what we're seeing now with the Palestinian protests that are being allowed to shut down places and take up spaces, and nobody is issuing any war measures. No citizens are having no class action lawsuits against these protests that's been happening. That businesses are saying they've lost revenue and all of that because Canadians took it upon themselves to do their version of letting and standing up to the government and say, we're not moving until our elected leader comes out and talks to us, and he refused not to. Justin Trudeau and all the elected officials that held government could have sent the truckers home. They wanted their elected official to come out and meet them, and he refused to because he feel he was above the elected people. And he made it sound like fringe, but we saw the video. That was a massive turnout. Everybody from all walks of life, although he tried to make it sound like it's a one type of people, and even not trying to call them unvaccinated. And many people there were like, no, sorry, we got our whole schedule. We got the whole vaccination schedule, and we stand with this because this has nothing to do with any medical decision. This was dictatorship that came right in our faces, yet still the Canadian public listened to the controlled media outlet push a narrative. Now, it was okay for the controlled media to push a narrative when it served the purpose of bringing in dictatorship-styled government. But when that same media decides now to ask Mark Carney questions, all of a sudden, the same liberal pool are now attacking their own reporter and calling for her to be fired, and because she dared ask Mark Carney a question, a legitimate question. She has been, and her radio station has been seen for the past 3 years, 2025, the past 5 years, as people would say, carrying the water for the Liberal Party. She decides to put the glass down, put the tray down, and take off the apron and say, let me start being a journalist. And they went crazy over her. Now, I watched the interview and I saw the condescending energy and attitude of Mark Carney, the way he was speaking to reporters, like he was above them. They were beneath him. There was so much passive aggressive energy, so much condescending to I was like, what am I watching? And people are there not catching this? So I'm trying to figure out why the conservatives are not reminding the people what Mark Carney is doing. Is they talk about Trump pushing against the line of what his mandate is, pushing against the legal definition of what it is he can and cannot do. Mark Carney and the Liberal Party has been doing this intentionally been doing this for the past 5 years. They have been pushing against the interpretation of how they want it, and then they left it up to you, the people, to push back. And when they see you don't push back, they keep going further and further because they realize, oh, they haven't figured it out. But this is where it is up to the opposition to bring it to the surface and let the people know, hey, by the way, this is not what's supposed to be happening. But I'm trying to figure out why they're not doing it. I'm trying to figure out the angle why they're just being quiet about it. Now I know, even in Mark Carney's swearing in his coronation, and he talks about his allegiance to the king. If you listen to what they swore to, many of you, it went over your head. You saw this as some type of event that is just, business as usual. I listened to the wording because I'm being more intentional now of really listening and seeing what's really happening here in Canada. If you listen to the wording of every one of those ministers, including the coronated Mark Carney, his allegiance is not to the people. His allegiance, every one of their allegiance, they swore allegiance to the king, who they say is sovereign. We're not. Their allegiance is to the sovereign monarchy, the king. And the governor general here is just their servant, that is just their mouthpiece per se. That's if you want to just break it down. The governor general, whatever the king says, picks up the phone, tell the governor general, and he or she carries it out. The governor general can't go against what the king says because they are the mouthpiece, the representative of the king, now the queen then. But listen to what the wording was and is. The allegiance is to the king, to serve him and his wishes. So everything that's happening here in Canada, you need to look over to the pond. They make it sound like we're being annexed. We haven't really been sovereign. Canada is not sovereign. Newsflash. This is why Justin Trudeau ran over to the king and said, hey, look what Trump's doing. He even repeated it that him, Canada, and him, UK, they share a sovereign. The king, the third, they share a sovereign. So the sovereign is the king that we share. And that is why everything has to go through them. Forget, they say it's formalities and it's just, a show and it's just, no, it's not. It is not. There is more to this thing than, oh, this is just formalities and it's just something. No. Lie. So that's the beginning of my rant. Now let's go forward. In addition to what I really want to talk about, because all of that I really want to get off my chest, because what's going on? I like to just be real and just talk to the regular folk, right? What have you been seeing? Let's just be real. Let's be real. And it's the thing that I do appreciate with Pierre Poilievre, and I appreciate with Trump. They just talk like the real folks. And people, and when I talk, people like, and I'm like, no, if I want to get into a certain level of conversation, I can. Not because of my academic accomplishments. It's because these type of conversation, they're not new. I'm more focused now politically because of what happens in 2020. But having critical thinking conversations is not new to me. And having conversations with people with all the fancy titles to their name, it's not new to me either. Again, not because of my previous employment history or the circles and the places I have exposed myself to, intentionally exposed myself to. And prior to that, I had no choice because of what my father exposed me to. I was like his little shadow. I'm able to go on both sides. I can be in the street and talk to the homeless person and sit down on the bench with them and be out there with them. Baggy clothes, hoodie. I can roll with the bikers. I have my M license. I've been on a bike since I was 10. And I can be in the boardroom as well. And now I'm pursuing my master's. So I say all that to say many Canadians can say exactly what I just said. They are versatile and they're able to hold conversations in many different levels. Now, unlike the politicians that say they're here for the regular guy and they're here for the small guy, and Doug Ford's lie about being here for the little guy, and all these politicians make you think that they share your lived life experience, they don't. And the only ones that say they do is after something has happened to them, then all of a sudden they like, oh, I know what you feel when it happens to them. When something similar to your experience, they come close to. Like this liberal leader, Karina Gold, I believe, is talking about taking the GST off of child care purchases and car seats and all. That's because she's a mom now. Now she's a mom, and now she is wanting to put into place things that benefit her, because all of a sudden she's a mom and she realized all the taxes and the things that go into anything that is child care related. And it's like all of a sudden now she's tooting our horn, like, oh, I feel you. So, well, you didn't feel me, but so you have to have gone through that to know what it's like. The answer is yes, ladies and gentlemen. This is why it's important that when you elect an official that represents you and your riding, you better make sure the person truly represents your riding. And I am just sick and tired of you writing associations, allowing people to be nominated that say they represent your riding, that they're either parachuted in, you've never seen or heard, they don't know anything about your riding, even if they've never been in the political landscape. They have been in your riding. They've lived in it, raised children in it, went to school in your riding. Like, there's history. And when you get to know about them, you see and you hear and you learn that they have been doing things in the riding, but you wouldn't know, because how many of us know all of the volunteers and all of the people in your riding that is doing and assisting the community? We don't know all of them. But when they do step up to the plate, and then you hear the things that they've done and what they have lived and they've been passionate about, you're like, okay, yeah, we thank you for stepping in. But you allow yourself to be told that you need elitists and globalists and these people that do not have any background about your lived life experience to represent you. Now, someone could have lived in your experience, have made themselves successful, got out of the experience, and they're now on a different level in their living and where they live and, what they do, but they do remember what it was like. And they have a history of you still seeing that even though they, quote unquote, arrived in their new level, you see that they never did forget where they came from, because you see that they still have some receipts that show that during all this time, they're still giving back. They're still doing things for the community. There's ways that they're still making sure that they don't leave their experience behind and brush it under the rug like they've never been there. You want someone that is either there, still there, know exactly what's happening, or someone who has been, they have left, and they're still finding ways to stay connected and help and assist more people in getting out. But you see these people that you keep bringing in that have no live life experience and they don't know you, and they've never been there, never gotten the t-shirt. How do you expect them to make any decision thinking about your life, their life, what it once was, knowing what it's not? And don't tell me, my experience is because I played hockey, like, I wake up in the morning and my hockey coaches, like, you see, those things get you guys tickled. So, I don't know what's going on with Canada. I'm just from since 2020. I'm just been, every year I'm just more shocked and more. Every year I think I can't be more shocked, or I can't get more shocked, and then there you go, you shocked me again, and I was like, wow, they pulled another fast one on you guys, and you what? To me, it was now Trump being the bad guy. Now Trump is our bad guy. First, the unvaccinated was the bad guy. Now Trump is the bad guy. Man, they have been so successful of deflecting and not allowing you to stop and pause long enough to look at them. I have to give them a hand clap. They deserve an award. They have been masterfully successful in making sure that when one boogeyman dies, they erect a new one and put it in front of you and say, here, this is the new target. And you never get a chance to stop and say, hold on a minute. Actually, no, that's not the target. You are. Because I thank President Trump for coming into office and being, you talk about foreign interference. Man, this is the best, most positive foreign interference we've had. This man in another country has forced our government to start being our government and start doing things for the Canadian people. Hand clap for Donald Trump. Man, this is why I understand why he said you might just be the 51st state. Because this man is doing for us and he's not even here yet. Like, for real, for real. They're talking about we care about fentanyl not being here. Well, you didn't care about it before Donald Trump made it non-negotiable that you need to start caring about the fentanyl. Now you start. Because Donald Trump made it a non-negotiable that you need to start investing in the military. Because he made it non-negotiable that you need to start making sure that you secure your borders and the whole thing. All of a sudden, he's the bad guy for making you do your job. I'm sorry. Like, miss me with that. I'm not that Canadian. You see those type of Canadian. I'm not that one. I'm sorry. I'm not that one. I haven't been that one for a long time. 2020 showed me the type of Canadian I am. I'm not that one. I'm not that type over there. No, I'm not. Let me tell you, 2020 just made me stop and look around. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been surrounded by all these people. Like, you all, oh my gosh, all of y'all was Canadian too? Like, I realized that it's a different category of Canadians. For real, for real. Canadians like me. Because I just stopped. One of my children made this statement. I can't remember which one. And they were like, Mom, I think they said this in 2022 because it wasn't recent. It was like back when the whole frenzy of just lying about what is happening. And my children were just shocked. Like, they were like, we were surrounded with all these we were walking the street with these people. We were on the road with these people. Like, they were they were in front and behind us. They were driving with us. Like, we were surrounded with these people all the time. Like, I'm like, yeah, we were. It was a scary, funny moment to be aware that all this time you were around people that were not able to critically think for themselves. It was a scary moment that when it's like that moment when you find out that your next door neighbor is the mass murderer and they just made brownies for you last weekend. And last weekend you had them in the house eating brownies and you're just like, what? He was my that was my neighbor. Yeah, it was that feeling where you're just like, I was around these people all this time. Yeah. It was a scary, funny, surreal, dangerous kind of sad feeling. Like, all this time, the description of the polite Canadian wasn't just about polite Canadian. It was a mixture of just mass psychosis of easily manipulated people. Like, you're just shocked who was being revealed. Again, it's that feeling of the mass murderer was your next door neighbor all this time, and you had them in your house last weekend, sharing brownies. It's just that shock, like, all this time I was surrounded by a multitude of easily manipulated people. Like, people who last week you thought were smart, and then this week they believe the statement that your human rights end where their nose begins. Like, those type of statements, when you hear people say it, you're just like, what? Yet last week I saw you as intellectual and smart. And then this week, you just told me that you have the right to deny me the ability to provide if I don't tell you my medical status. Like, it was just because the government said so. It was just, it was a surreal moment when my son, it had to have been my sons, one of my sons that said that. We were laughing and then we all just stopped and we just like, it was quiet. Like, like they said it, it was funny. And then we all stopped and we just like, yeah, that's all this time we're surrounded. And it's again, you just, every year, the Liberal government, the Liberal NDP government pulls a fast one, and it just makes me just, I'm just always shocked. I as I said, when I don't think Canadians can shock me even more, then you turn around and you do. Because here you have an unelected official. He's not been elected by the people. He's been coronated by his party. He's never, and he does not hold any elected office. And he is being allowed to run around this country and this world representing us as if he has a mandate from the people. Sir, Mr. Carney, you do not have a mandate from the people, sir. Newsflash. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap. Is this mic on? Sir, Mr. Carney, sir, you do not have a mandate from the people. You were awarded the leadership role of your party, but you were not elected by the people, sir. You are not our prime minister, sir. You are the leader of the Liberal Party that has been suspended because your party wanted time to figure yourselves out while still being allowed to say that you're governing, but you're right now in what we call a caretaker role, which would mean since you're now the leader of your party, the pause button that Justin Trudeau, the elected member of his riding that he won in an election of the people, that pause button should be now unpaused and an election be held. Because I'm curious, when Parliament is on pause, where are you going to be standing? I'm curious, what seat would you be sitting in? What riding would you be representing, sir? Like, would you be in the gallery talking? Are they going to give you a mic? Are they going to give you a cordless microphone, sir, where you can talk from the gallery and they all can look up at you as you present yourself as a leader? Because I want to know who comes. Well, then again, Zelensky was allowed in the floor. So I guess, hey, if Zelensky can be there, you can be there. So I guess you would be allowed to be there. But where would you be sitting? I guess they can just pull out a seat for him and just sit. But because right then, so someone says the Governor General, if Carney can convince the Governor General that he can do this and he can do that, and I'm sorry, the Governor General, he doesn't need to convince the Governor General. He needs to convince the Governor General's daddy, okay, which is the monarchy. All right. And the monarchy is going to say whatever monarchy want to say, because Canada, you are not sovereign. Newsflash. The Governor General is going to go along with whatever the King says, who is the sovereign, that Dave is the sovereign because of that position. And the sovereign is the one that gets the last word. They've been lying to us, telling us this is just ceremonial, pageantry, and it's not real. No. We, time and time again, we're becoming more and more aware that this isn't just ceremonial pageantry. This is for real. No, we are not sovereign. Because everything goes through this governor general. Even the fact that it's the governor general that the prime minister had to go to governor general to do this, and she had to say this, and then that's when Justin Trudeau had to do this, and then this governor general does have a lot of weight. Stop lying to me and tell me it's just ceremonial pageantry. No, it's not. No, it's not. Someone from across the pond is dictating to us what is going to happen. And no, Canadians, wake the HE double hockey sticks up. HE double hockey sticks up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. It is not pageantry. This Governor General, the King, Canada, it's for real. We are not sovereign. We have been made to believe, but it's only when something extraordinary happens that tests and pushes the limit of something. That's when the truth of a thing is revealed. It's only when something is under pressure and something is really tested when the truth of a thing is revealed. It is being revealed that we are not sovereign. Listen, we are not sovereign. We are under a sovereign who is the one that calls the shots. Because what kind of democracy is this where someone who's not elected could be now traipsing around saying that they are the prime minister, they're the leader of our country, and we haven't elected them? They don't even have a seat. They've had no quote-unquote political experience. Everybody has to start off somewhere, so I'm not knocking him for that. But this man has been already in the Liberal circle because he's the one that has been advising Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland for all these time. Chrystia Freeland actually says he is her son's godfather. This thing, like, you guys acting like this man's brand new. And if anything, I would say he's part of the reason why we're in the mess we is, because it's his advice that they all been listening to. And now he's at the helm. And we didn't elect him, and this man's traipsing around representing. Canadians, wake up. Let me tell you, Trump is not your enemy. Trump made a statement about his situation, about the enemy within. Many of us have been telling you, Canadians, we have an enemy within. They're trying to do a rickshaw rinse and repeat of what failed south of the border. They're now doing it here because we have been shared in many different ways. If you think this is just, no. And we've known this for a minute. You're not successful in Canada, so you got to go down to the States. And then when you make it in the States, all of a sudden Canadians want to own you. And, oh, he's Canadian. But your own country and your own industry never gave you any assistance. You have to leave Canada to make it. And then the Canadians are like, oh, he's Canadian. She's Canadian. There's a long list. Athletes, entertainment, business. How many of us are going south of the border for schooling and scholarships? Come on now. Stop acting like this is brand new. There's been a history of Canadians who have to leave Canada for Canada to actually care that they are good in their craft. And Canada only cares when you're American stamp and certified that you made it there, then all of a sudden you're relevant. Come on, don't act like what I'm saying you don't know. So the idea of you thinking that what's happening here isn't them already inside of Canadian political system. Look how we saw Bernie Sanders having Face Live with Jagmeet Singh. When Trump got to office, Jagmeet sent out an email about Canadians coming together to because Kamala lost. And I'm like, why do we care? But I'm like, yeah, actually, I know why we care, because they're the same arm that's feeding the narratives and ideologies. Why you think all of these ideologies are coming into our school system? South of the border mindsets are coming in because it's already that we've been sharing so much, including this shared tactic of trying to get rid of the person, because that's what they were trying to do with Biden and Harris. Exactly what they just did here is what they wanted to do there. But it wasn't successful there because Biden, like Justin, didn't want to let go. And I think they said, Justin, look what happened. You need to let go. You need to let go. Because Biden was just like Justin. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. He didn't care. I'm not leaving. The difference is Kamala didn't quit and resign like Chrystia, his deputy, quit and resigned, because the deputy prime minister is just like the vice president of the United States. It's the same thing to give them different titles and you think you're different. You're not different. It's the same thing. Prime minister, deputy prime minister, president, vice president. Come on, people. All right. Kamala decided to go about it another way. Chrystia said, forget that. I ain't playing nice. I'm out. Right? Man, man, woman, woman. First in command, second in command. But Chrystia says, you know what, Camilla? Hold my beer. Let me show you how to do it. Camilla and Hillary, Hillary and Chrystia were trying to talk to Camilla saying, girl, this how you do it. I was like, okay. So Chrystia let me show you how you bring a man down. So all of this, you guys got to thank Chrystia Freeland. She played her cards right. She walked up there. She got a new portfolio. She was smiling. And she's just like, you're welcome. You're welcome. I got rid of him. You couldn't. So I did it. Like, Chrystia is a boss. Y'all might. She's a boss. She's a boss. She helped you all. She did what all y'all wanted within the party. And none of you had the guts to do it. It took a woman to show you how it's done, how to get rid of a man at the top and still be relevant, because she still got her position. She got what she wanted. And now her best friend, her child's godfather, is at the head. So she's set. And he didn't chastise her. He rewarded her by giving her an amazing portfolio. That's his child's God. That's the mother of his godson. Come on now. Listen, if you guys are not seeing what's happening here, I'm just shocked. So what was failed south of the border, they're trying to do it here north of the border. And they've been successful so far. They did what Biden and Kamala wasn't able to do. But you see, the reason why is because the American citizens would not allow Biden to walk away. Well, first of all, Biden didn't walk away and say, okay, let me give it to Kamala. Coming on to the 9th hour, he eventually passed the baton on to her. The difference is here, they had a appearance of a leadership race just to make it look like, okay, let's make it look like, we went through the internal party protocol. But many already called him like he was a designate, but they had to make it look, because they didn't want to do it the way that south of the border did, because it would not have worked out. For many reasons, Mark Carney wasn't already there. They had to bring in someone. Chrystia had to be the one to be the disturber. She was a disturber. She had to shake it up and figure out, how do we bring him in? It's all a game. Now, South of the border, they told you Kamala is in the lead. Kamala is now coming up. And before the approval rating when Biden was there was so bad. Now Kamala is in, and look, the approval rating's up. And now she's neck to neck with Trump. And there's some states where she's overtaking Trump. Same thing. Justin was here and the approval rate was bad. Now Carney's here. Ooh, look at the polls. They're neck to neck. He's right there with Pierre Poilievre. Oh, in some places, he's taking over Pierre Poilievre. It's the same game plan. Don't listen to them. Get to the polls. You know how they were not successful in rigging? Donald Trump said it. It was too big to rig. You need to make that in Canada. And we need to send a message in the social media world that it's not happening. And that is why it was too big to rig, because the Republicans made sure that they saturated the airways and the alternative airways to make the people know that, listen, Trump, everywhere you go, even though they have all these polls and all that, the narrative that they were pushing was not loud enough because the Republicans made sure. What is the Conservative Party up here doing? And this is what I've been saying. What alternative platforms is the Conservatives putting themselves at to put it out in the atmosphere that, no, the blue wave is still here? I don't see Pierre going on any podcast that is well received and watched in Canada. Yes, you want to go Canada first. Yeah. But let's be real. Back to my original point. We always look to the American content. We always look to America. Go on Joe Rogan. Go on the podcast that you fully know Canadians are also watching and listening and tuning into. Go on the places and the spaces that why you think Doug Ford decided to go on all these American platforms and why Canadians decided to vote for him. He didn't stay in made in Canada only narrative medias. Doug went where he knows Canadians are engaged. And it is what it is. You might be upset about it, but it is what it is. We are engaged with American media. We are fully engaged in American media. So, yes, you want to have maybe a 60-40, 50-50, but you better get your butt on some American platforms, Poilievre. You better start being interviewed by some American platforms. Now, whatever was done, I hear Donald Trump now is endorsing Carney because apparently he heard that Pierre doesn't like him. What? And then for Donald Trump to say that, what is happening where how has Doug Ford successfully made Donald Trump believe this? And I listen, the Conservative Party in Canada, I don't know who your advisors are. Maybe it's the same ones that Anthony Furey was listening to. You're not listening to the right people. You voices like me you ignore, but voices like mine you should be listening to. You think your people know. And I'm telling you, whoever your advisor is, I strongly recommend you get a second opinion. Because Doug Ford is playing you like a fiddle. He is helping the Liberal Party domestically and internationally, especially when it comes to the U.S. So, Poilievre, yes, I know you're going to all these town halls and you're having all these local stuff, but you need to get on the airways. It's important that you get on the airways. Get on, yes, Canadian media, sure, but get your butt on some podcasts that Canadians listen to. Find all the hot Canadian podcasters that are out there that has huge followings. They have the YouTube silver plaque, gold plaque, and all that. Get on their platforms, Polivier, and diversify your portfolio. Get on some American platforms as well. Carney does not have a mandate to govern. He does not have a mandate to govern. Stop making this man traipse over the place, making it look. Bust his bubble. This is Lady O. Stay in action with faith and possibility. Walk in and protect your light. Your purpose will find you. Say what you mean and live like you mean what you say. I'm going to have a part 2 to this. This is just my part 1. All right? You guys have a wonderful rest of your day.